Hey, hey, welcome back. It's Mr. Ray. It's Art with Anderson. Today we're doing a live daily draw along. I guess we shouldn't say daily anymore. I just noticed my credits up there say daily, but we do it every Wednesday and every Saturday at 3:30. So if you're joining me today, we're going to do some seasonal fun with a little bit of a animation project that's pretty easy to get started. It's definitely capable of keeping your attention and kind of burning up some of those hours that you'd normally be spending maybe with family or celebrating for some of the holidays this weekend. But I figure let's have some fun with this. And I have a couple materials here. I have some sketch paper on the side that I'll demonstrate with, but I have some index cards. These are blank on both sides. I had to use a staple gun for this, but if you're going to be using that, be sure you get your parents' permission and supervision if you're on your own, or you can certainly use tape, or if you have a booklet to yourself, that's kind of the best way to do it. Like I like if you've been to a hotel recently, sometimes those little notepads are perfect for flip books. Otherwise, no need to even staple or tape them. You can certainly use these as a stack, and we're going to be flipping those and making a short animation. We're going to dive right in, and then I'll talk about how to set up your flip book. But I want to just talk about some general concepts here. Now, the first and best advice I discovered through watching some YouTube videos was making sure that you are drawing your animation from the back of the book, okay? Because that allows you to have a reference page that you draw on. So instead of having to trace or to see, you can always lift up your page and see what you drew before. Because what we're going to be doing is just like a animated series, like in Disney, they have to draw each frame of that animation, and it can be quite time consuming. But that's why we're going to keep things simple. We're going to make a bouncing ball. Okay. Now, if you look over here on this sheet, I have what we call a couple different states or frames to my animation. Now, this ball is going to be dropping, hitting the ground, and then bouncing back up. And in this one, I have around 10 or 12 sheets of paper. So that means that I'm going to be doing 10 or 12 drawings to get this bounce to complete. So a frame of an animation is a state of an object. It's the shape, right? It's this ball. It's keeping its shape. This would be frame number 1. This would be 2, 3, 4. So see how it spaces out? The farther it goes, that means it's going to look at us going faster. Down here, I have a few other states where it starts to squash down. Okay, so it's like a rubber ball, and it's bouncing when it hits that pavement or the tabletop. And there's even another one over there. So we have state 5 and 6 down there. It's going to squash. But in order for this to bounce back up, we actually have to do something similar, right? We're creating these over again. So this is going to go back up this way, but it'll be basically the same shape. So what this one is still 6, but this one will be 7 again, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay? This might not make too much sense, but seeing this version of it is going to help you out a lot, because when we open this up, remember we're going to start from the back of the book. So I want you to open up to the back page and lay that flat on the table there. Now we're going to try to keep it simple, but what we're going to do is try to keep it pretty close to the edge of this paper. So if you're starting at the top, we're just going to start off with a circle right about here. Okay, it doesn't have to be huge. All right, that's going to be frame number 1. Now I'm going to lay down another card and hold this over the top, right? We want to be able to see that. But I want to, if I can't see through the paper to where it was, the nice thing is that I can pick this up to see where it is. And what I can do is kind of plan out where it's going to be. If this one was about here, I want to make it a little bit farther down, just like frame number 2. I'm going to try to draw the same size ball. Sorry, this is being a little unruly for me. You can see that traced image. That's also helpful. Try to make it the same size. I'm going to place it right here. There's frame number 2. I'm going to drop one more frame or sheet. These are being a little unruly. Okay, see if we can see that image. It looks like this. I want to put it over here. Now, if you're wondering if this is how painstaking it is to make animation, believe me, animation is some hard work and it takes a lot of time and patience. And drawing frame by frame, luckily, there's been computer animation systems that have allowed to speed this up a little bit. But generally, if you see an animation, there's typically somebody there drawing out every frame, or at least making sure the computer does the right thing. So we have 3 frames. I laid this one down, but you can see that it's already halfway down. We're at that 3. So 4 goes down to here. It looks like, see how there's a bigger space in between those two? That means it's going to speed up. You'll see in a minute. And then instead of drawing a line down here for my floor, I'm just going to bounce it off the bottom. So when it gets to the bottom of this piece, we're going to kind of flatten it a little bit. So I'll lay this down. My next frame. And I'm just going to kind of get a flat oval. It should be a little wider because that ball expands a little bit when it hits the bottom. Next one's going to be even flatter and a little wider. I'm kind of peeking up underneath here to see how wide it is, so I can make even some marks if I want. Nice and flat. Now the trick here is we've flattened this ball out, and now it's about to bounce back up. So what's next? We're going to actually redraw a similar one to this. So we'll drop another sheet of paper and make this one a little more puffed up. So similar to that other frame. So we're just, this is the easiest form of animation. We're breaking it up into kind of reusable stuff. It's starting to stretch back out. This next one, we want to just get this thing up in the air now. Let's put the ball a little bit off the ground like it's sprung up. If you're really trying to get some emotion, I'm going to actually make this one a little bit this way, like it's sprung up and it's almost like with force, getting a little bit more egg shape or oval. Have fun with this. So this one's going to get a little bit higher. Okay, and we're almost out of pages here. So we'll go back up. This one's going to be almost towards the top. And finally, down here, we'll put it all the way up there. You could even have it cut off up there if you want. Now let's check out our animation. We'll see if this worked. All right, here we go. Let's see. Let me try it again. So the trick with getting these, the index cards are kind of tough to get to work. Let's try it the other way. You can start to see the movement. Right? So that's basically how you can make a flip book. And you can experiment with different materials, like I said, maybe thinner paper. If you have a fingernail, that's a good way to make that do it. I just trimmed mine, so I don't have that, unfortunately. But another way to check to see if your frame is working is to just lift up each frame like that. So without much further ado, we're going to try something out to see. It's a little bit ambitious, but what I've done is I've started to think about some basic shapes here. Now you could certainly, the first one that I recommend is try to make a stick figure walking. So instead of just moving the ball, you're adding, you would add a stick figure body to it, maybe move the limbs. However, we're going to be trying something that's a little bit more in line with the season, and let me pull up a picture of our mascot for today, if you're familiar with this guy, Big Chungus. If you're not familiar with this, it's a meme, and my students used to have a lot of fun with this. It's all over the internet. It's a fake game, but it's a fat Bugs Bunny, but he goes by Big Chungus, one of my favorite cartoon characters. But we're actually going to be looking at this guy because what I love about this shape of this character is the exaggerated ovals in there. Now, we already know how to draw some things that are kind of like squishy, and this is a good way to think about it. In my past videos, I've talked about how you can, make your, any character, you can make them out of kind of general shapes like a ball or an oval or rectangles. it's easier to help animate. And so we're going to be basically creating a bouncing set of circles, and that's going to be easier to draw. And so I just want to see if we can do that today, but by using, we'll see if this will work. Again, I will let you know if I'm out of my depth, but again, why not try? We're going to try to make this bouncing bunny, okay? Now, I want you to see how he's made up of circles and maybe just this little leg. Okay, the ears are a little bit different. I, tried to just have those change, but I don't want you to get distracted too much, because what we're going to do first is just draw this main ball for the body first and make that bounce, and then we'll go back to each frame, and then we will actually add the features. So I'm going to use, the nice thing about making your own book right here, especially if they're blank on both sides, is we can flip it over and reuse it. Okay, and for this animation, maybe I'm going to do it this way. It might be easier to do this. I just want to have them jump from one side to the other. We'll keep this very basic. Now, another thing that can be helpful is trying to draw the beginning and the end first. So for example, I'm going to be drawing this main circle over here. Okay, the main circle is going to start on the left, and then I go to my last page. Actually, did I do this backwards? I think I did, because we want to start from the bottom. I feel like it did work a little bit better when I was flipping it this way, so maybe we'll do it like that. I don't know. Maybe I'll just stick with my original. Sorry, I'm doubting myself. This is the back and forth you're going to hear in your own head. Sometimes you might have an idea and it's not quite as clear as you think. I might even just use a couple blank sheets so I can move them out of the way. Maybe that'll help us see these things. Okay? So I'm going to start like this, and then I can reorder them. Okay? The first one is going to be down over here. Okay, that's going to be the back portion of the bunny. Don't worry about drawing it. We'll go step by step here. But this is going to be frame 1. I'm going to just put it up here as well, just so I don't forget. 1. Okay, so now I'm going to do frame 2. Actually, we'll do that end one first, right? So I'm just going to put it over here. We need to save some room for his head and stuff, so I'm just going to leave that about here. Let's compare the size. Do they look pretty much the same? Looks pretty good. Okay, so this is just going to, I'm going to say last. All right, so what this means is I'm going to take this first frame, that's going to be on the bottom. This one is going to be on the last frame, because that's going to come down last, right? I'm going to kind of sweep through like this. All right, so let's just make this thing bounce. Maybe we'll do 2 small bounces. So it's going to go from here to there. So that means that about halfway through, I'll have to hit the middle. So let's go back to our first card. Okay, there's 1. Okay, here's 2. I'm just going to slide it up here so I know what I'm looking at. So the ball started over here. It's going to go up a little bit. I want to keep it the same size. Okay. Honestly, I'm kind of just trying to figure out the best way to do this as I go. So like I said, if we find out that this isn't the most efficient way, the reason I do these videos is so you guys can see how much back and forth, maybe a little bit of hesitation, a couple mistakes here and there. You can just at least see that even somebody who's been doing this for 25 years, the thing is that you got to cut yourself slack if you're trying out a new process. All right, so that one popped up a little bit. We're gonna move it over. You can see I'm just like kind of lining it up. I want it to land right here. So if I were to test these, I don't even know if I can. You know what? I'm going to give up on this for a second because I want to just make... What if we just make this bunny fall out of the sky on that bounce? Because we already have this nice animation. Maybe we can just put some stuff on here to start, because I feel like we just need to get an example going here. So I'm going to go back to my original flip book. And what we can do is, instead of have it be a ball bouncing, maybe we could have the bunny bouncing off the wall and then running back the other way. So what I'm going to do is just maybe add, this is going to be his eye, here's going to be his nose, and I'm going to have his ears kind of come back over here. So here's one ear to start. We're not even, this is just going to be his head, okay? So we'll add his body later. Here's the frame 2. I'm going to make the ears go a little bit farther back. Maybe he's going faster. I add my little eye, which is like a closed eye. That's probably part of it. He doesn't see where he's going. I'm going to put those ears even farther back now, like he's being blown in the wind, not paying attention to where he's going. All right. It's almost at the wall. Maybe let's have him try to slow down. So the ears are going to pop back up a little bit. Maybe he opens his eyes now. Right before he's about to hit the wall. Oh, that's got to be painful. I'm going to have the ears kind of splat up against the wall here. Maybe his nose is mushed up and his eyes kind of smash up against there. And when he comes back, same thing. Ears. Very exaggerated. He almost bumped his face on the side. He starts to come back. I'm going to have him look a little dazed. His ears are kind of like peeling off the front here. And he's bouncing back this way. If you guys give me a second, I gotta switch up my camera setup because this camera just died, unfortunately. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.